Now, building on the idea of a business model and then sort of linking that to move away from just the idea of what is our business model and let's model that. But moving away from that more into what effect does that actually have on our organization, on our capabilities, on our performance. And I think if you get that right, then I think you can be in really good shape, and it can help you move into the right direction. In the article from Seoul, How Much Does a Business Model Matter to Firm Performance? We see this, and we see that choosing the right kind of model for your geographical region, for the kind of business you have, has a positive effect on the capabilities in the organization. And of course, this is that motivating aspect, the energy state, where you say, okay, this is our business model and this is what we've got. And of course, you can resolve that by sort of watering down your business model, or you can upskill your people and your processes and that sort of thing. And that's kind of what they're talking about in many parts of this article. And as I argue in the business model video that I've done, it's a good idea to go out there and to actually draw this first. Don't start with a template. If you start with a template, you've already limited your stuff. And if they make the argument that companies like Amazon or Netflix, they have this idiosyncratic, they have this unique way of delivering that you might not have come up with if you had just started with a template. But if you start with a great idea, for example, FedEx, which it's impossible to get a package from here to there overnight, but it turns out it isn't. Drawing a sort of FedEx, how can we deliver packages better? And then you start with a template of a business model like the business strategy canvas, and you fill that in. You may never get to that idiosyncratic, that innovative thing that's going to actually change not only your company, but it's going to change the industry. They argue too in this article for not boxing yourself in too much, as I have argued, but that you should first sort of freewheel it and then sort of fit it into something that you can actually operationalize. And of course, this business model should be linked with what you've got, the resource-based view of strategy. So it should utilize the stuff that you've got while pulling and giving some aspiration. So we don't just sit there and say, well, this is all we have. And you do want to have this aspirational part where you're growing and you're learning. But a big part of this article, they don't actually ever say it, but a big part of this article is understanding that behavior follows structure. Behavior follows structure. If you've got a good structure, if you have got a good process, and it's even taking the CEO and then the vice presidents and then even just that kind of organizational structure, getting that right will lead to certain behavior. Well, getting it wrong will also lead to some certain behavior. But understanding the business model and setting that up so people can see where do I fit in here. It's a neuroscience concept called relatedness. How do I see myself in the model? How do I fit in here? Behavior follows structure. So if you have the right kind of structure, you got the right kind of business model, and we'll see this all through strategy, the fit, the competitive advantage, the performance tests, the business model, and the culture all aligned and pushing in the same direction is where you ultimately want to be. And an additional point that they made, and I think it's a good one, is that behavior follows structure. So if you've got the right structure, even though you've got people who aren't maybe up to speed on certain things, you're putting them in a process, you're putting them in a situation where they can make the biggest contribution to the strategy. So I think that's also an important thing to look at. So when we're looking at how capable is a business, we can look at the kind of people we have, we can look at our recruiting practices, we can look at our geographical spread, we can look at our funding, but we can also look at our business model and our strategy. How is that helping us actually move in a certain direction and close certain gaps and attain certain goals that are important to first the shareholder and our other stakeholders as well.